I'm your host, Antonio, with
Anthony Churlin.
Anthony,
Yep.
Remax, real estate agent here in Southwest Florida.
Cool.
So how you doing, Anthony?
Great, buddy.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate
for sure.
it. Hell yeah.
We're gonna talk a little bit about the big trending headline we had a couple days ago here in Naples about the market, and we can just dive into it.
Yeah.
So the headline was Naples ranking #1 best city in the U.S. according to the U.S. News and World Report.
Right.
The media company took a list of all American major cities to determine which are the best places to live. This is pretty awesome, right?
Oh, dude, it's innovational, and I think everyone's seeing it and viewing it for what it is.
Right.
It's the growth here is tremendous right now. So.
I mean, we're just growing. What would you say? How do you feel about Naples receiving this recognition? Do you get a lot of DMs, people trying to, because as I was going yesterday, a couple of days ago, I just see real estate agents posting on social media, with this headline pop. So
right.
Do you get a lot of people inquiring about moving here?
Oh yeah, I make people that inquire on my posts all the time, where they're curious about the area. They maybe don't know what it feels like to be in the area just because they haven't came to Florida or this region of Florida. And especially being Tampa, Orlando, Miami, a little bit more prominent areas people are used to. This coast and Southwest Florida is becoming to be they have their own target on the map right now. So
it's cool. It's good you're focusing on creating content, social media content they can see actually where they're coming, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, people are just curious about Florida in general, and we could see even with the growth the past couple of years since COVID, it's been tremendous on how many people have moved here.
Right.
Yeah, we're averaging 1,000 people a day moving to Florida from other states.
3-4 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What do you say? What's making, let's say, Naples in particular desirable? I've been hearing the Naples lifestyle, or everyone is saying that.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like, what would you say? What's the take on it?
Well, I think that it's an attraction of affordability compared to a lot of these other areas that offer beaches, luxury lifestyle, whatnot. And the common trend I see a lot of the time is New York goes to Miami, and Miami is becoming less affordable, and Miami is coming over to Naples, which happens to be an hour and a half away.
Right.
And the price points just are a lot more attractive.
A lot more attractive in comparison to Miami.
For sure.
And you can say East Coast
of
Florida.
Yes, right. The West Coast is the best coast. This applies to Florida as well as we're in the Southwest Florida. So.
But say same thing. I mean, definitely. I've been here for at least. Maybe you want for our audience to say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
So how did you get started? Maybe they're gonna be more curious about your journey.
Yeah.
Obviously, real estate agents. You see, I have a lot of friends that are just asking. They try to get into real estate. They're seeing the shiny objects, that comes with it. It's like, I feel like I can do this thing,
Right.
Sell some homes, make some money.
Yeah.
So what's your journey? How long you a real estate agent for?
It's been 3.5 years now, almost 4. Got into real estate. There was a lady, Carrie Herbie. She recommended me get my real estate license. This is during COVID. Nothing was going on. Previously, I played professional baseball for the Oakland A's, and baseball, entertainment industry in general just kind of stopped. Everything was kind of standstill. So in the meantime, she recommended, hey, get your real estate license, see what you could do with it. And I see she was pretty successful. She was
away from the baseball stuff.
Yeah, exactly. She was a couple years in the business. I was still training for baseball, but real estate, I grew up in the atmosphere of always getting to know people. My parents owned a small business growing up, and it introduced me into entrepreneurship and getting to talk to people and what they really want. So
obviously saying 2020, 2019 when you got in?
2020, end of 2020 is when I got in, yeah.
Yeah, you got into the best time to be a real estate agent.
How
are you going to compare the market with rates being 2.5% in 2020, and right now we're like 8%, highest in 28 years.
Yeah.
How you compare two markets?
So the only market I did know when I first came into the market was 2.5%, 3.5% interest rates.
Right.
I was blessed as a buyer's agent because most people who are getting into this industry will become buyer's agents.
Right.
Sellers
agents. It's very hard to get on the seller side.
You have to create that rapport with people, create that rapport with investors, and get them to know that you are that person they'll go to for information. So the market definitely projected my career a lot faster than I expected. And a lot of the mentors around me when I first joined had nothing but great insight on what needed to be done in terms of being successful. So I kind of applied from my baseball background in terms of systems and always trying to redevelop myself. I applied at and got obsessed with real estate in the same aspect. So interest rates, people had a sticker shock. They have sticker shocks now.
Still, yeah.
It's turning into a buyer's market. It's a lot more buyer friendly. That we have a lot more listings on the market, but people are still curious and people still want to be here. It's just that affordability aspect that they're starting to feel. So.
Yeah, I can add on that. Yeah, I feel like when you get into the industry, especially for me, someone that's newer, we work with Mike together.
Yeah.
So whenever I have something, going on, just buzzing on Mike, like, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
So you have to have some mentor that's gonna be, on top of you, that is gonna basically guide you, point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So you don't make as many mistakes, because let's face it, you're gonna make mistakes.
Most
Whenever
definitely.
You're gonna start. So maybe there's gonna be like one advice that we can give to like someone that's newer, that's trying to get into the business.
Yeah. Find a mentor.
Find a mentor.
Get some wisdom from that mentor. The less amount of mistakes you can make and the more you can learn from them before you make those mistakes, you're going to make your life a lot easier. Right. Just from learning from people who have done it for years.
Yep.
So
that's great. I can say, like you said, 2019, 2020, rates being so low, but it wasn't a buyer market.
Yeah.
It was more a seller market, right?
Correct.
People offering, 20, 30, 50,000 over asking price just to get into the property.
Yeah.
Compared to right now, with me, working with a lot of clients, we can negotiate seller concessions, 20, 30,000. So when you think about the market, is it worth waiting, would you say, or what's your advice on that?
Interest rates are where they're at because the Fed wants them to be where they're at. They're stabilizing the market. They're controlling the market. And that's what they want to do. If you saw this big uptick of interest rates going to 11%, sellers' homes prices would crash at where they're at. So as they're basing that off of, if sellers are where they're at, either one thing has to drop: interest rates or home prices.
Exactly.
That's just what it is. So the Fed is forcing sellers to drop those prices a little bit more. The challenge with America is we still lack infrastructure. We have how many people moving to the United States every day now? So
10 million people getting on green cards.
Our population's nonstop growing, whether you like it or not. It's happening. So infrastructure is always the challenge, and we still are infrastructure short, especially for the Gen Z population, our population, what we grow up in. People are looking. Rent is now becoming slowly more affordable. It's slowly dropping. And we see those residentials slowly dropping as well, alongside with that rental market too as well. So I do see it a good time in terms of there's no right time to buy. I tell people, save as much money as possible. Make sure you have money inside your bank account. Make sure you're investing your money smartly, whether it's in the stock market, real estate market, your own business. But there's no right time to buy. And to give perspective, if we dropped a whole interest rate point, from 7% to 6% right now, we'd have 4 million more buyers in the market. And say 10% of that enters into the market and tries to afford for a home. What does that do?
It just bumps up the price.
Exactly.
Yep.
So is there a right time to buy? No. I always tell people it's the right time to buy what's right for them.
This is exactly, I'm 100% with you here. It's the right time to buy when you're ready. You got to look at your situation.
Right.
I've been hearing people saying, I'm just waiting for the crash. But people do not realize that this is not to wait again. People at that time, they didn't have equity in their homes. Right now, everyone is locked at 3% mortgages. They had 150, 200,000 equity in their home. Even if they were to come to a situation where they need the money, they're not gonna just, they're just gonna sell the home.
Right.
They're not gonna go bankrupt and foreclose on their home.
Right.
So if it's good for you, it works for your situation, it's always better to compare. Say if you're renting, is that, in particular, to owning.
Yeah.
You want to see if it makes sense for you to buy.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I see a lot of people our age are starting to purchase homes with each other, with their best friend that they've known forever and whatnot. And right now, the majority of our market in terms of our age group is females, actually, because females do think a little bit more and make moves a little bit quicker usually than some people do. And everyone's situation is different, but a lot of our market is becoming people who are investing with each other in order to gain some equity long term too as well, and not have to feel the burden of maybe a $2,200 payment a month they could split that up and make it a little bit more affordable compared to renting.
Would have been the same thing if you rent, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, up to a loan, you know, you can put up to 4 people,
Yeah.
you know, conventional, FHA, wherever you go.
Yeah.
So definitely some creative ways to get into the home if you're thinking of going that route.
Yeah.
In terms of real estate opportunities, investment opportunities, what do you see? What would you suggest if someone is trying to invest? Would you suggest someone to like just find a property, to rent it out, maybe try some distressed property to fix it and flip it?
Yeah.
What do you see? When someone inquires for an investment property?
Right.
To you, what do you show them? What do you?
It depends on what their situation is. It kind of goes back to everyone's portfolio looks a little bit different, right? If you're starting to get into real estate right now and you want to invest and you're not really worried about buying your first property for yourself, you know, right now the most attractive market right now is the affordable home market.
Yeah.
You know, especially with Fort Myers area and Naples area, you know, we lack affordability in every market throughout America. So if you could enter in that affordability home market where maybe you could put $10,000, $20,000 down into a property to fix it up, whether that's paint, drywall, flooring, whatever it may be, such a little simple things, and getting someone in there that's going to rent. I think long term, you know, flip opportunities and opportunities itself will pop up more often just because there's more homes coming up on the market. To give perspective, in Cape Coral itself, we had 330 homes on the market at one point.
Yep.
Now we have 1,900 homes on the market. So it's easy to fall in the cracks as a listing, which gives people opportunity. You know, so the old saying goes, when everyone's buying, you sell, and whenever selling, buy.
Right.
You know, this is the opportunity right now is if interest rates do lower in the next year and a half, 2 years, this opportunity, what's happening right now of getting
equity.
$30,000, $40,000 off a home, you could be walking into equity in the next couple of years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. We can agree that everything is building around us, especially in Naples.
Yeah.
You know, apartment buildings on Davis and 41, huge building downtown, hotels, everything is building.
Yeah.
What I can say to that is when you think about opportunities, I'm sure that Mike mentioned this to you a couple times, but we like for the fix and flip product, we're very proud of.
Right.
A very good fix and flip product that you can just come in with 10% down on the purchase price. You finance 100% of the rehab. You know, do the flip, couple months. Pay the interest for those couple months. After that, you either, you know, refinance it, 30-year fixed, and you know, rent it out to tenants, or you know, make some profit on it, buy another one.
Right.
But another cool thing that for not the investor type people, if you're buying it for your primary residence, we can do like FHA loan, which is like 203K loan. You can finance not only the purchase of the property, but also the rehab cost. So it's a good way that especially in Naples, I'm seeing a lot of homes that have been built in 1960s, 1970s, never been remodeled, retouched. And right, you know, and the apartment next door is going for, you know, 100,000 more, which is renovated. Now you can come in, fix the property to be exactly as you want it, the new tiles, the new kitchen, the island in the kitchen, you know, the new bedroom, and now you come in, plus you get the equity, and you know, obviously you can refinance it later on. But I feel like that's a great opportunity right now.
For sure.
In this market, you know, you got to be creative.
Yeah, most definitely. And I always tell people, you know, with lenders, talk to your lender. Your lender's going to know all the avenues in terms of what makes the most sense for your position within the market. And that's where you guys come up with so many creative ways of figuring out what makes the most sense for your position, where you're at. And you guys, that's the thing with Mike and you. You guys are guides at the end of the day and educational, which is what you should have out of a lender as well.
Right.
As someone who is educational.
I mean, we gotta close the deal. You know, we don't get paid if we not close the deal. It's the same thing with you guys. So we're working on behalf of our, you know, borrowers or buyers. And we work for them. We don't work for the bank. We don't work for the. We're looking for their best interest. And we're trying to get them over the finish line and to be happy with the payment they have. To don't feel stressed. Can they make the payment? Can they not? So that's what we look for. We just don't wanna just put someone in a situation where he has $3,000-$4,000 payment and now he's stressing about if he can make ends meet, you know. So that's really important to have that in consideration, not just to be like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna approve you. Don't worry, just come to me, you know.
Right.
I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna get this deal done. You wanna follow some guidelines, some rules. Don't on purpose do something for the borrower that might harm them in the long run. Perfect. I want to ask you a little bit about yourself. Since you're saying in 3.5 years, what would you say? What's the most memorable experience you have as a realtor? You have any stories you can share with us?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's one that always pops in my mind. It's when I first got into real estate, a couple months in. I had a $3 million buyer.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Everything was ready to go. Everything's set. She sent me over her bank statements. She proof of funds. It was a cash buy. It was gonna be super simple. She didn't get the answers that she was looking for. I think as you speak to these people that are a little bit more analytical, who are with their money and a little bit more strategic with how they work and how they want things done, you get a lot of dominant personalities that, if it's done this way, then I'm doing it. If it's not done, I'm not doing it. So yeah, I had a $3 million buyer, property here in Naples. I knew the listing agent on the property.
Everything is checked.
It didn't work out, but in my mind mentally, as I was going through the process of trying to check all these boxes off for her, I wasn't asking the true questions of what I should have been asking her. And I wasn't as responsive as I thought. I think people lack, or not lack, but they have this misunderstanding that movement is progress. Right. Movement doesn't equal progress, because if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers. But long story short, MIA, completely went missing. This was probably 6 months into my career. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I go, how do we not do that again? Yeah. How do we not have someone have a bad experience? And I've never met this lady in person. It was always on the phone. But she viewed the property previously. And how do you not mess up that $3 million sale when you get that opportunity? So ever since then, I've become obsessed with why. How do I get to, what are they asking? What do they need from me? And everyone's different in terms of need and want and how. But that was one thing that always stuck in my mind is losing that buyer and losing that opportunity. But it was a lesson. And throughout this industry, we all learn our lessons. And you have to take those lessons and learn from them. That's all.
Gotta take them one step at a time.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's been 6 months into the business, right?
Yeah.
And from a lot of podcasts that I've been listening to, right?
Yeah.
Real estate related stuff.
Yeah.
Like it can be your 10th year.
Yeah.
But you're year 1.
Yeah.
Or you can get all the experience throughout the year and learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
How to do things right.
Right.
So at least, lesson learned there.
It's every day is a lesson, not even just in business and in your personal life as well. And if you can't grow from that lesson, it's a long process. It's gonna be a longer process than what it needs to be.
Yep,
for sure.
I think getting on. I think we are mostly on the end.
Yeah.
On our agenda for the day.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can add on?
Not really. I mean, the beautiful thing about all this stuff is the connections and people you meet throughout this process. Entrepreneurs usually run with each other.
Yep.
So like-minded individuals, and the more entrepreneurs we can meet, obviously, for our business, not even probably to utilize our business, but to learn from. There's so much wisdom out there and so much to learn from. You just have to listen to it. But how's business for you in Naples, and how's your experience with Naples and lifestyle?
Naples is a bit different.
Yeah.
I would say Naples. Everyone is saying that more cash buyers. Obviously, we from the lender perspective.
For sure.
Of it,
Yeah.
But we work with a lot of construction deals, trying to find some land, we can build something on it.
Right.
Naples Park is a huge growing area.
Awesome.
Everyone is trying to invest there, be there, and but honestly, I feel like the circle of influence, the people around you, is very important also.
Yeah.
And the friends, making deals for them.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And just seeing them, they're seeking for advice from you. It's very, I feel like, rewarding for you.
Empowering,
rewarding to just, can help them impact their life.
Right.
Doing their first purchase of their life.
Yeah.
Especially us.
Those are my favorite ones.
In our 20s, many questions.
Dealing with friends and family or kids or people, men, I guess my age, I'm 27 now, but those are the most gratifying times, seeing the guys our age, the women our age that are looking into investments and entrepreneurship.
Yeah. They're always like, hey, I'm sorry to bother you that much. I'm like, no, you're fine. This is my job.
Yeah.
I want to help you. I know this is a complex process.
Yes.
You don't want to go, research everything online.
Yeah.
You can do it. We can research for other things, but most of them you gotta, consult with us.
Yeah.
So you're on point.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We got you covered.
Yeah. We also live in such a weird time where there's 30 years ago, there wasn't enough information to receive. Now we have so much information, and it almost comes polluted with who you're listening to, where you learn from, stuff like that. So knowing, people that are professionals that want to see other people grow, that's the biggest step in terms of where we're going to be going.
If we have a little more time, we can touch a little bit on the lawsuit that happened.
Yeah.
That's going in power July, I think so, right? Or June?
Our board is putting in an act August 1st. There was actually a meeting today about it. I was listening on.
For a second, maybe they don't know about what kind of lawsuit was talking about, because most of the people, they don't know.
Correct.
So far, till now, as it was, the sellers were paying 5%. It was negotiable, 5 to 6% so basically they were paying the buyer's agent and the seller's agent.
Correct.
So with the whole lawsuit happening, now there's gonna be differently. How it's gonna be structured from going forward? What are we seeing?
In terms of contractual, in contract and stuff like that, there's gonna be a little bit different way we work around things. Agents will have to work with buyers and have a actual contract with the buyer and the buyer's agent that is working for them. So
from one side, that's kind of helping you.
It's not
when you have a buyer, he has
Yeah.
to sign an agreement that you're gonna be his realtor. You're gonna show him homes
Yeah.
the next 6 months or so.
Right.
If you buy something, you're the one who's gonna.
It's the same thing as a listing agreement, right? You have an agreement with the seller, and this is your compensation amount, and this is how we're going to compensate the other party. Everything was all in the NAR settlement. To speak on it, the NAR was sued by a lawyer and a bunch of other sellers that were upset during the seller's market of, I was forced to compensation. They said this was a standard. Well,
it was always negotiable.
It's always been negotiable. So now the only difference is in a seller's market, when buyers are flocking to properties where there's 5 offers on a property, can you get around a buyer's compensation? More than likely. There's a yin and a yang to everything. Now we're inserting ourselves into a buyer's market where there's so much competition out there for sellers, where it becomes a challenge if you don't compensate the buyers bringing up, or a buyer's agent bringing the buyer to the actual contract. In the right market, it makes sense because it's a feel-good thing for the sellers. There's a lot more transparency now through it. People are more aware of what's going on. But I always tell my sellers, hey, listen, we're competing against XYZ. This is how I do my marketing style. You're my boss. You tell me whatever you want to do. I recommend XYZ in terms of going forward and how I do my marketing and what makes the most sense for your property.
So the question that I've been hearing a lot from my clients, do I have to pay my realtor right now? And I'm like, yes, maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking and what we have been hearing from the lending perspective of it is that probably is gonna just go, everything will continue to be done as it was so far. It's just the compensation for the realtor, the buying side, will be placed on a different line on the loan estimate that closing disclosure we're giving out.
Right.
So at the end, you as a real estate agent representing the seller, you still have to negotiate with the seller to give some seller concessions to the buyer's agent, so he can offload, so the buyer can come with less money to the table, because it's already hard enough for them to qualify on its own, coming up with down payment and closing costs.
Right.
So
it's right now. I mean, I tell people during the seller's market, I was doing the same exact thing. I was negotiating a lot of my compensation anyway. I was negotiating on the buyer's behalf, and I was negotiating on my behalf. And I was very transparent with all my buyers. Hey, just so you know, you don't come out of pocket for a lot of this stuff. But this is why I'm writing this on the contract, in order for my compensation to make sure you're taken care of during the whole time. People have to know their value. A lot of people will shortchange themselves because they don't offer much value. But that's the thing is, it's always been negotiable. I've negotiated several times where they weren't giving much to the buyer's agent, and I wrote in the contract $10,000 towards buyer's closing costs and X amount for my compensation too.
Right.
There's just extra contractual events that are going to be happening going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be the cheapest one, like you mentioned earlier.
Right.
You can run a successful business.
Right.
If you're the cheaper one, you can't give all the attention to the clients you're working with.
Correct.
So what's the point of being cheaper if you can't satisfy the needs of your buyers?
It's all about value.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay. So, Will, Anthony, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna link Anthony's information here.
Cool.
If you ever need to buy
Yeah.
or sell,
Yeah. Don't threaten me with a
Fort
good time.
Myers, Naples, anywhere, you're gonna send me a good photo of you. We're gonna post it here. For the
Perfect.
information, so you can contact Anthony. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for your time, buddy. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Cool.